Hey guys, Comic Boom here for part 2 of the review of DC Comics for the week of January 18th, 2022. In this episode, we are going to be reviewing Nightwing number 88, Wonder Woman Evolution issue 3, Nubia and the Amazons issue 5, and Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow number 7, and Wonder Woman number, what is it? Wonder Woman number 783. Good Lord. I'm going to try to cover as much as I can. Again, it's a crazy week, like 17 comics. That's like, God damn, DC, man, you just pouring it out. Anyways, Jace normally joins me, but I have a child in the hospital, and we couldn't coordinate our respective reviews. My schedule is just too chaotic, so I'm just doing these things in different parts because I'm all over the place. So, but I'm just pumping these out. So without further ado, let's get right to it, and let's, like I say, it's actually been a pretty good week, and this next batch of comics, I think, were in many ways I found them to be, well, almost the most interesting, frustrating at times, but some I thought were pretty good. Great fan service for Nightwing 88 with Tom Taylor. And I was a little frustrated with Wonder Woman Evolution, but frustrated in a good way because I like the topics that Stephanie Phillips addresses in it, but I wish she'd have gone a little bit farther in some of the themes that she introduced. But in any event, let's get right to it. We will now, talking about Nightwing 88. Now, you want to talk about fan service. This thing has fan service written all over it. Tom Taylor here. I mean, look, this issue starts off. Fortunately, Dick Grayson is no longer in Gotham with Barbara Gordon, where they're addressing the fear state. They're now back in Bloodhaven, and Dick Grayson is pursuing his life as sort of as Dick Grayson, as a philanthropist, and of course, obviously in a nice relationship with Barbara Gordon, or at least it appears to be that way, which is really good. There's a great cover B, which shows Dick holding Barbara, hoisting her up in his arms. Look, they're about to kiss, and it's a nice scene. It's a great cover. And well, it starts off, Nightwing is looking over the city, and Nightwing's looking over the city that he protects, and of course, so is Blockbuster, the office of Roland Desmond, also known as Blockbuster. He considers himself, he's the mobster who controls the city, and Melinda Zuko, who is revealed to be Dick Grayson's sister, we found out earlier, is in fact the mayor, and of course he feels that he controls her. Melinda Zuko claims to be working essentially undercover to, I believe, take down Blockbuster, but Dick Grayson isn't quite sure if he trusts her. But in the meantime, Dick Grayson wants to give a speech. He wants to give a speech about his foundation and about breaking new ground in order to help the homeless. And because he's into philanthropy, and of course philanthropy does have a political component to it, and so he's obviously got to interact with the public and build up press. But, Oracle's concerned, Barbara Gordon is concerned, Babs is concerned, and even little Haley, his dog, or Bitewing, or Haley, or whatever you want to call him, because there's from all of the sources that Barbara Gordon has figured out, there is a hit out on Dick Grayson's life. And of course, the public at large does not know that Dick Grayson is Nightwing, but they don't need to know that because, frankly, if there's a hit out on Dick Grayson, it's something to be concerned about. Now, the art here, Bruno Redondo on the art is back. Adriana Lucas on the colors, fantastic. Tom Taylor, writer. Tom Taylor gives a lot of fan service here. There's great moments between Babs and Nightwing, and in particular, there are moments that arise where basically Blockbuster hires Gunhawk and Gun Bunny to assassinate or to basically kill off Dick Grayson as he's given his speech. And the number of superheroes that show up to protect Dick Grayson, and basically it's the Titan, Cyborg, Donna Troy, Starfire, Raven, the Flash, Wally West, all of them show up to protect. Even Mr. Terrific shows up. all to protect Dick Grayson. It. Tom Taylor really does hammer home the fact that Dick Grayson has friends, and he doesn't just have friends. He's got very, very powerful friends who, if you piss them off, you're going to find out the hard way what happens when you piss them off. And of course, the Titans come together and they protect Dick Grayson. This entire issue is just it's a fun read. It's a joyful read. It's entertaining. This is what you want to see. This is Tom Taylor continuing to give fans what they want. Now, ironically enough, there are some out there that there is, dare I say, a potential criticism with that. You can say, well, should you give fans what they want all the time? Maybe you should give them what you think they need. Maybe you got to raise the stakes a little bit. Maybe, subvert expectations. But Tom Taylor's not doing that here. He's having a lot of fun simply scripting these characters the way we like them written. Dick Grayson is a nice guy. People know him. Know him as a nice guy. The city of Bloodhaven loves Dick Grayson. Alfred loves Dick Grayson. Thinks of him as a son. Alfred died, gives Dick Grayson $1 billion. He becomes a philanthropist. He starts the Alfred Pennyworth Foundation, and he wants to help the homeless in the city of Bloodhaven. But Blockbuster wants to take out Dick Grayson because he doesn't want anyone else having influence in the city that he considers himself as owning. And of course, that's Blockbuster. Now, Roland Desmond here is very much the a-hole you expect him to be, and he has his men take aggressive actions. Surprisingly brazen actions to take out Dick Grayson. It goes to show the sheer arrogance that Blockbuster has and the frustration that the Titans must have. Again, Mr. Terrific, Flash, Donner Troy, Starfire, Raven, etc. They're all frustrated that they have no evidence against Blockbuster because he covers his tracks, but they do manage to stop. They do manage to stop the Gun Bunny and Gunhawk from assassinating Dick Grayson. And it's interesting to note that Gunhawk and Gun Bunny are actually a couple. And the big surprise comes at the end where Gun Bunny and Gunhawk are separated, and Gunhawk gets apprehended or transported away. At one point, Gunhawk here. I should backtrack. There's a great scene between Starfire and Blockbuster where she stands up to Blockbuster and basically says that Dick Grayson is under Titan's protection. And and Gunhawk is transported away from being in front of Blockbuster, and he ends up he's actually been plucked away by Heartless, the same character that has been ripping the hearts out of homeless people. And this Heartless character apparently has an agenda of his own that's different than Blockbuster. And he asks Gunhawk, who hired him. And Gunhawk says he was getting paid $10 million by Blockbuster to kill Dick Grayson. And then he asks if he has a person who he loves, and Gunhawk says yes, Gun Bunny. And that makes Heartless happy because, as long as, if you love each other, then it means more to Heartless if you love somebody, if he's going to steal your heart. And that's exactly what he does. He actually rips out Gunhawk's heart. So again, it's a fun issue. It's a great issue. Fans are going to continue to love this series. This is more fan service. The stakes are raised. The question still arises: who is this Heartless? Why, he continues to take hearts. Why does he do that? Obviously, he's off his rocker, but what's his obsession with Nightwing? What's the motivation? Now he wants to, he made some passing remark about he needs a bigger container to when he eventually takes Blockbuster's heart. So clearly this Heartless character is against even Blockbuster and Nightwing. So it's very interesting. And anyways, a pretty good issue. And I'm sure everybody's going to be picking it up. Tom Taylor continues to do a pretty good job. Redondo on the art is fantastic. Eddie Redden and Lucas on the covers. Just a really good job. Now, next issue. Wonder Woman Evolution number 3 of 8. Now, this is a Stephanie Phillips. This is, the cover of Wonder Woman Evolution number 3 shows these gods pointing to Wonder Woman and saying guilty. Now, the premise of this entire series is that Wonder Woman has been plucked away from Earth, is plucked off the Earth by these gods, and they're putting humanity on trial. And they want Wonder Woman to be the defender of humanity. So Wonder Woman gets to play defense attorney and defend humanity. And if she doesn't successfully defend the existence of humanity, the humanity will be wiped out by these gods, who seem to be of the mindset that humanity is not worth saving. Now, I was, quite frankly, the premise is very, I said before in reviewing this with Jace, is that, the initial premise, it seems a little bit redundant. That was my concern going into this, and I still have those concerns. And I'm sorry to say that 3 issues in here, I don't think we're getting a lot. We're not really getting a lot of movement on this story. This is the on trial for the crimes of humankind. This issue starts off with such promise because it shows, once again, it seems like Wonder Woman is surrounded by illusions, and this time the illusion is in Nuremberg, Germany, 1945. Now, I'm a history buff, and I'm a military history buff, and I even have a background. I even have a degree in history, and so I really enjoy World War II history. Now, Nuremberg is most famous for the Nuremberg trials that put the Nazis on trial at the end of World War II, and the Nuremberg trials are most known for the defense of superior orders. The Nazis were put on trial for the extermination of 6 million Jews, and their defense was that, well, I didn't mean to do that. I didn't mean to carry out the orders that led to so many Jews and gypsies, et cetera, being exterminated. I was just following orders. Well, the defense of superior orders was rejected. And the Nuremberg trials are well known as sort of being like the pinnacle of holding people accountable, even in the midst of war, for crimes against humanity. And so the idea of Nuremberg, the ultimate redeeming aspect of the Nuremberg trials, was that at least humanity at some level can hold itself accountable for its atrocious actions. And that's what the Nuremberg trials did. Now, curiously here, I'm not sure why Stephanie Phillips brought Nuremberg, Germany up. I thought that's where she was going with this. But she references Nuremberg. Wonder Woman at some point even says, I know what happened in Nuremberg, but what I'm not clear on is why you brought me back here to this moment in time. Now, and then they say she's told that we told you this is a trial, Wonder Woman, and no trial would be fair without an understanding of the charges. Well, okay, except there was already a trial at Nuremberg. So why would they so that doesn't really answer the question. Humanity already put the Nazis on trial. You could consider Nuremberg, it was a trial in and of itself. Again, there's not an adequate explanation. Also, Wonder Woman, at least in the continuity, I'm not sure what continuity Stephanie Phillips is dealing with here either. I'm assuming, is this the Wonder Woman that's been around since World War I? And if she has, then she clearly fought in World War II. Why didn't Wonder Woman stop the Holocaust? Like, if you're going to bring Nuremberg into this equation, you better bring the Holocaust, and you better bring the extermination of 6 million Jews. None of that's even mentioned. The word Jews not mentioned. The word Holocaust isn't mentioned. How can it not even be mentioned in this? I can't believe that. Like, I'm not really sure what it is you're trying to say, because at one point, the gods tell Wonder Woman that Nuremberg was once the seat of power to German kings, a center of arts, culture, science, and infrastructure. While not a utopia by any means, that grand city devolved into a nexus for a movement committed to the destruction of human life. All right? Again, why wouldn't you just say it's the Holocaust? I mean, readers are stupid. I mean, I hate to say it, but a lot of people aren't familiar enough with history. Are the average readers even going to know that this has anything to do with the Holocaust? Like, I just have this is such an odd way of putting this. I mean, if you're putting humanity on trial for something, I mean, how can you mention Nuremberg, link Nuremberg to the extermination, when it was actually Nuremberg that was the trial of the Nazis that did the extermination? I mean, you're only given half the story here. And also, if now maybe in future issues, we're 3 issues in here, there's 3 issues left. Maybe at some point in the remaining 3 issues, Wonder Woman will show some sign of intelligence and actually start addressing this matter, and maybe defend humanity more intelligently than she's doing. Because all she's doing is she's giving the same sort of pontificating lip service that she does, the same BS, the same crap that everyone, compassion, love, we're all capable of good things, bad. Come on. Let's get into the meat of things here. Where's the substance of this storyline? This is surface level stuff, and it's really, really disappointing. This is why I said that I thought when I saw that she was in Nuremberg, I thought, great, we're going to get into some cool philosophical issues, deep philosophical issues about humanity, like getting right into the weeds. You don't get more into the weeds when you talk about humanity than when you're talking about the Holocaust and the genocide and the creation of a government whose one of its sole purposes was the extermination of an entire race. Okay, now that's serious stuff, but the surface level approach to this here was just very, very, very. It was disappointing, and again, the dialogue. Wonder Woman says, yes, humans are flawed, but you're ignoring the capacity for good. That's not a defense. You have to be specific. They just put you in Nuremberg. Say what happened in Nuremberg if you know what happened in Nuremberg. Show me some sense. I mean, a 4-year-old could tell you that somebody has capacity for good. Where's the wisdom of Athena in Wonder Woman here? Honestly, she comes across like an idiot. Just a complete idiot. Now, in defense, the progression of the story doesn't help. Why? Because, all of a sudden Silver Swan shows up. Why is Silver Swan showing up? And takes away from where this story is supposed to be evolving into. Why do we care about Silver Swan? Suddenly Silver Swan shows up. And why? And Silver Swan is the only thing that isn't an illusion. She attacks Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman defends herself. Silver Swan gets stabbed. And now she yells at the gods, please heal her. And it's a complete distraction from the narrative. This is Wonder Woman evolution. Okay? Now I say again, I'm still not sure why this is called Wonder Woman evolution, other than the fact that in the first issue, Wonder Woman is in a museum where they showed a bunch of apes in the evolution of the museum in issue 1. What does evolution have to do with putting humanity on trial? Is it because if it's about humans evolving and getting better, evolving into a more enlightened species? Okay, fine. We're 3 issues in. At what point is Diana going to show some intelligence and defend humanity? She's been around since World War I. She's seen humanity at its worst. And if she still thinks humanity is worth saving, can she not say something more than, I think humanity has a capacity for good? Like, this is really, really disappointing. And I got to tell you, the story here is just, it's not cutting it for me. If I think Stephanie Phillips wants to say something about Wonder Woman's wisdom, and she wants Wonder Woman to say something enlightening about humanity and defend humanity. But why are we getting these side distractions, these illusions? We're in the middle of issue 3. In the middle of this issue, which is issue 3, the gods finally say, let the trial begin. Which is really odd, because at the beginning of the issue, before the trial actually begins, they send Wonder Woman to Nuremberg. And why? And what's the point of the Nuremberg thing? Again, this isn't well put together, and this does not pull the reader in, because it doesn't make any sense. Again, this would have been so much simpler. Issue 1 should have been 1 panel, 1 page, no more than a page. Wonder Woman's plucked, she's off the planet. Page 2, gods are there saying Wonder Woman, humanity is on trial, and then get on with it. Have the trial, explore it, have Wonder Woman, and have some backstory. I hate playing script doctor here, but I don't get this. And the other thing is the art here is not up to task. I'm sorry to say Mike Hawthorne's art is extremely disappointing. This is probably the most unattractive version of Silver Swan that I have ever seen, hands down. I'm not a fan of this. I wish they would have gone with the beautiful version of Silver Swan that James Robinson had in his run. Infinitely better. I actually think the only reason that this version of Silver Swan was chosen, and I hate to be so cynical, was just because she's all one color, and it saves the color. So the colorist just needs to use one color, and it's all silver. Uh, just pure laziness. Wonder Woman's unattractive. Her suit looks ridiculous. I don't like her suit. Why is she wearing that suit? No explanation for that. Why would she look like that? What like um I don't know. But in any event, so much potential here. So much potential. And it can still be salvaged. But the last three issues actually have to deal with something that would be interesting. And that is, yeah, humanity is kind of we are jerks at times. But where's our defense? Is Wonder Woman going to do her job? Because I'm still not even sure why they chose her. Because the explanation doesn't make sense, but I'll accept that. But where's the defense? And I hope at some point the defense is going to be Wonder Woman showing some wisdom. And maybe it's the lawyer side of me, but you want to flip the script. When you have somebody accuses you of something, the best defense is to take the argument and to flip it and to hold the gods accountable and point out to these gods that they are as bad as they are accusing humanity to be. That's genius. That's brilliance. Can Wonder Woman pull that off? Not this one, because this one's an idiot. But hey, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe she'll finally get her shit together and focus on what it is she needs to do. But I don't know if the story is going to let her do that if she gets distracted. I mean, what's the point of having Major Disaster show up in Illusion or Silver Swan? Why? What does that have to, if this is actually a trial, what's with all the illusions? This is frustrating, and not in a good way, because it's not serving a story that I can get behind, to be frank. But hopefully it'll improve, but I'm not going to hold my breath. But, fingers will be crossed. But anyways, let's move on. I've talked enough about that, haven't I? Good Lord. All right, now Nubia and the Amazons here. Now, Nubia and the Amazons is Nubia and the Amazons. This is issue 4. I think I said issue 5, so I was wrong. Nubia and the Amazons is actually going someplace that I think it's interesting, because Medusa has escaped Doom's doorway. And Trial of the Amazons, we know is going to be about the 3 tribes of Amazons essentially trying, they all want the Equazeta tribe of Brazil, which is Yara Flor's Amazons, and the Banamagdal tribe, which is essentially where Artemis's tribe, which is governed and ruled by Queen Faruka and Queen Atalanta. They're joint queens. And then there is Queen Nubia and of Themyscira. All 3 tribes of Amazons, they're going to have a contest to decide who is going to be the champion to guard Doom's doorway. Now, that's what Trial of the Amazons is going to be about. But we're not there yet, because continuity is very wonky. Actually, the backup in Wonder Woman 783 this week takes place after Nubia number 5, and we're just at Nubia number 4 here. So I can tell you this. Medusa, this has Medusa escaping Doom's doorway and taking over the body of Andromeda, who is another Amazon, and who has and Queen Nubia wants to protect Andromeda. And the Amazons are all arguing because they don't really know what the hell to do, because they're very frustrated. A lot of the Amazons have been taken over by Medusa and they've been turned into stone. Meanwhile, they can't find Andromeda, but Andromeda has presumably gone back into Doom's doorway for some reason. We don't really know why. And it's suggested by Queen Nubia, because she talks with Penelope, who's been having visions, and some other Amazons, and the gist of it is that Queen Nubia is suggesting, and it's been suggested, that maybe Medusa is a victim. and that in fact it's not just suggested in the narrative itself. Medusa herself views herself as a victim, but her victimizer was a goddess. It was, in fact, there's a full page spread which explains, really spells out, and I'm just going to jump right to it, that the story, Medusa's story, she was one of three Gorgon sisters. Medusa was the mortal among the daughters of the sea. Unlike her sisters, Medusa did not have golden wings and claws that her sisters possessed. She was considered by many, including Poseidon, to be the most beautiful. And Medusa unwittingly found herself caught in a powerful god's gaze, subsequently getting Athena's attention. And the goddesses, Athena's jealousy would become a gift and a curse for Medusa. Now, that's all that's said about Medusa's story. I think that writers Vita Ayala and Stephanie Williams are waiting to provide the other information in the fifth and sixth issues. The bottom line is Athena ultimately ends up cursing Medusa. And all Medusa did was essentially, she had an affair with Poseidon. That's the general story. Now, I'm not sure if that's the story they're going to go with, but it's actually, I've mentioned this before, it's a controversy in the story of Greek mythology as to just how much of a victim Medusa actually was. And Medusa became evil because she was made, this beautiful woman was made hideous with snakes for hair, and everyone who looked upon her would turn to stone. That was a curse from Athena. So Medusa was victimized by a goddess, but despite the fact that she was victimized by a goddess, why wasn't Medusa allowed to come through the Well of Souls and become an Amazon in Paradise Island if Medusa was a victim? Is it because the person that victimized Medusa was Athena? Is that not hypocritical? Should not the gods themselves be just? Should not the gods themselves be held to even a higher standard of humanity? And if the gods victimize us, surely those of us who are victimized by goddesses, especially the Greek gods, who are pieces of garbage, quite frankly, if you look at what they actually do and what they do and the horrible things that they've done, particularly in Wonder Woman lore. And if we're gonna be victimized by them, why can't so many more women who've been victimized by the gods, like Medusa, go through the Well of Souls and become Amazons? I think that's where this is going here. And that's one of the things that I really like about what Vita Ayala and Stephanie Williams are doing. They're sort of challenging preconceptions and addressing some interesting mythological controversies that exist in literature. So it's kind of cool. Now, we also get a backstory with Nubia, where Nubia ends up, it shows a backstory of Nubia back in the 1970s when Nubia was the champion guarding Doom's doorway. At some point, there was a creature that escaped Doom's doorway into man's world, and she chased that creature into a museum, and that's where she met, and she saved this young woman, this Mrs. Knight, from this creature. I forget what the creature's called. It's like a flying lion of some kind, this manticore, I think it's called. She saved this Mrs. Knight from a manticore, and she ends up going out for dinner with this manticore. Oh my God. I don't know what the hell's with my voice, but it's pissing me off. That's what I get for stopping to drink. I should just drink Crown. It's a hell of a lot better than freaking milk. Anyways, Nubia does not date the manticore. She dates this Mrs. Knight. She goes on a date with this Mrs. Knight, and she ends up staying in man's world for a period of time, falling in love with Mrs. Knight, protecting Mrs. Knight, and they fall in love. And she, Mrs. Knight, they talk about maybe having a future together, but there's a pigeon that delivers a message to Nubia. Basically, we don't know what the message says, but we can assume, because this is a flashback, that it says, "Get your ass back to Paradise Island. You're the champion. You got to guard Doom's doorway." And Nubia has tears in her eyes because clearly she leaves the love of her life, or she leaves a person she's in love with to go. And it's one of the things she gave up in order to be the champion of Doom's doorway. And then, of course, it flashes forward to the present, and her current lover is Io, who is the chief blacksmith of Themyscira. and I find it interesting that it says that she has very talented hands. I'm sure Nubia would agree. And in any event, uh, Nubia decides that she's going to jump down Doom's. She's going to go into Doom's doorway. You know, basically jump down uh, and descend into Doom's doorway, and in order to confront Medusa. And she discovers that she ends up being attacked by a Hydra, and it's disturbing to Nubia to discover that there is a Hydra that the Hydra is too close to the surface. Too many of the obstacles that Nubia is facing, they're too close to the surface. So something is clearly amiss in Doom's story, and she's not sure what it is. But she finally gets to the bottom, and she confronts Medusa, who is still occupied within the body of Andromeda. And Nubia says to Andromeda, who is really Medusa, saying, "Please release Andromeda and deal with me in your true form." And Medusa says, "If a monster is what you want, a monster is what you will get." And that's how this issue ends. So I think it's very, a lot of things are being put in play here. I think it's clear that we got a lot of character development for Nubia. We know that Nubia's made a lot of sacrifices. Nubia has had love in her life. It's also interesting that Nubia was actually in man's world before Wonder Woman. So this is interesting because, traditional Wonder Woman history had Diana being the first, making first contact with man's world and being sent on a mission to man's world. But clearly at some point, Nubia um, was sent. Well, actually, scratch that. Wonder Woman has been around since World War One. I'm assuming that's still the case because you never know in the DC Omniverse. Wonder Woman's been around since World War One, so Wonder Woman was always around. At some point in the 1970s, Nubia left Themyscira to get the Manticore that had escaped from Doom's doorway, and presumably took back to Doom's doorway, but then had to be called back and was staying in man's world and maybe defying the orders of the Queen because she had to return to guard Doom's doorway, and she had to give up her relationship with Miss Knight, and who was a school teacher, and in any event, you can see where things are developing here, and the Amazons are questioning Nubia's judgment. Like, should we really trust Medusa? Are you really suggesting that Medusa might be a victim? I mean, Medusa was terrible; she was awful, and it's beginning. I like the questions that this series is asking. This is very interesting. I love that maybe the gods are going to be held accountable for victimizing Amazons, for victimizing women, because gods do victimize women. Religion victimizes people. Let's be blunt. We just be honest about that for a second. Religion victimizes people. God, a worship of a god can victimize people. Gods can victimize people. Greek gods victimize people. And so, if you're the victim of the machinations of a god and you're a woman, why can't you also gain entrance through the Well of Souls and become an Amazon in the afterlife, or in the next life, right? So fascinating questions. I like what's being addressed here, and you can obviously tell that what's happening in Doom's doorway is getting, there's. I predict that this 6-issue series will end with Medusa becoming becoming an Amazon, and hey, you never know. She'll probably become a member of the Themysciran Amazons. And this will lead into the trial of the Amazons, where all 3 tribes of the Amazons will have a competition to decide who the champion will be to guard Doom's doorway. And whichever tribe wins will probably be allowed to live on Themyscira, which is kind of a big deal, because if the Themysciran's champion or candidate to be the champion guarding Doom's doorway, if the Themysciran candidate loses, then maybe Themyscirans will be forced to leave Paradise Island and maybe go somewhere else, and the tribes will have to move. At least that's what the Bana McDowell tribe are hoping, according to the backup in Wonder Woman 783, which we'll get to momentarily here. But in any event, it's interesting. I like where this is going. So far, the story here, this has been by far the best and the most coherent storyline of Wonder Woman, by far the most interesting. Kudos to Williams and Ayala. And the art's fantastic as well. I really like where this is going. Fujiro Jr. on the colors has been fantastic. Love the covers on this. This has really been really joy to read. I've quite enjoyed myself reading it. All right, so continuing on. All right, Wonder Woman 783. I've already alluded to this. Now, what what Becky Cloonan and Michael W. Conrad have been doing with Wonder Woman. Those of you who have been listening to my previous reviews on the direction that they've taken Wonder Woman, I'm a little bit baffled by it. I don't understand why they're going in the direction they're going. I don't even understand how this current storyline is going to lead in or have anything to do with Trial of the Amazons. And frankly, I don't know why you wouldn't want to do that at least. The first 10 issues was essentially Wonder Woman finally getting out of the whatever she was lost in the remember Wonder Woman came out of death metal. She had ascended. She was going to become a member of the Quintessence. She rejected that, and a wise decision it was to reject becoming a member of the Quintessence, because the Quintessence then where they were all wiped out and killed by Darkseid. If Wonder Woman ever found out that the Quintessence were all murdered or killed, there's no indication of that here. And because remember, Wonder Woman wanted to come back because the cosmic gods warned Wonder Woman of a lurking threat to the multiverse. So she insisted on coming back because she wanted to protect us all from the lurking threat. But of course, Wonder Woman comes back. It takes her how many issues to come back? 10 issues, and she goes through the Phantom Zone and the Fairyland, and she goes through Earth 11, and she has these adventures, and it was fun. I can say that as much as I felt that was sort of like filler, but at least it was clear that it was kind of like a treasure hunt, hopping from place to place. But I could understand that at least we were presumably the goal was to get Wonder Woman back home, and she's finally here, and and that's the important thing. And so, in any event, so Wonder Woman finally gets back, and she's more concerned about apparently returning a sword to a dead lover, hanging out with dead man, and we get all these distractions. We get all these distractions with this whole storyline feels like a distraction, and at the mercy of the image maker. I unfortunately I'm not really into the image maker, and then the other odd thing is Wonder Woman gets back. She gets back finally to Earth, and instead of dealing with the lurking threat, and so she's abandoned her responsibilities there. She doesn't seem to care that the Quintessence were killed. None of this stuff is even touched upon by Cloonan or Conrad. Instead, she's more concerned about mouthing off Dr. Psycho, Dr. Edgar Cisco, who apparently is working with someone to kill Wonder Woman for reasons, I guess. And this image maker is creating all these false clones of Wonder Woman that are made out of mirrors and attacking Wonder Woman. And so this image maker wants to kill Wonder Woman. Meanwhile, Dr. Cisco hires the Shining Knight in this issue to kill Wonder Woman because Dr. Cisco is working for somebody as well. Dr. Cisco in this issue says, when they said they'd send me a champion, never in my wildest dreams that I think it would be you. It's the Shining Knight. Why wouldn't you? Do you think about the Shining Knight a lot, Dr. Cisco? Do you even know who that is? Just an odd thing for him to say. Seems out of place. Um, I don't really get this Shining Knight just shows up here. This is Through a Glass Darkly Part 3. I'm not the purpose. This issue is one long glorified fight scene between the Shining Knight and Wonder Woman. Ada Candy is in Washington at an impromptu checkmate headquarters, and Steve Trevor is at is in the financial district of Washington, and he's during the attack by image makers Wonder Woman duplicates. Ada Candy tells Wonder Woman that they trace the source of all these duplicates to a carnival in New Hampshire. So she attempts to go there. She gets stopped by the Shining Knight, who says that I am the Archmage who would serve this confounding era. So I'm assuming that this Shining Knight is being, I don't know, manipulated, and he was plucked from his own time and brought into the present to fight Wonder Woman. Um, One of the things that I haven't really brought up, more out of the fact that I didn't think it was, it's almost pointless to bring up, but Dead Man has a completely different power set than he has had in the past. Writers Becky Cloonan and Michael W. Conrad have given him a completely new set of powers, and so his powers are all wonky. I don't know. I don't know. They make Dead Man do whatever they need him to do to serve the story, as opposed to being true to the character. And again, it's not a big deal because let's face it, who cares about Dead Man, right? You can say that. Well, who cares about Dead Man? Who cares? I mean, is your average reader going to know that Dead Man's powers are being played with a little bit here to fit the story? Well, no, I guess. It just, you know, it's just one of those things. It's more of a little nitpick, but whatever. I'll let it go because I'm not that big a Dead Man fan, and I even got the nice Dead Man hardcover edition by Neil Adams. It's great. I love Boston Brand. This is not Boston Brand. Boston Brand doesn't talk like this. But anyways, it's not important. This image maker, I don't even know what the motivation is here. I don't even know. We don't even know what Dr. Cisco's motivation is. Is Dr. Cisco? We know that I guess he's a misogynist. So Dr. Cisco hates women. Why? I guess just because. I guess that's the extent of storytelling nowadays. If just have a guy. I mean, Dr. Cisco. He's written a couple books. It's not clear what the hell Dr. Cisco has against Wonder Woman here. It's not spelled out. It's very frustrating because everything is assumed. Are we just supposed to assume that what Dr. Psycho's motivations are to hate Wonder Woman because he's, so why does he want Wonder Woman dead this time as opposed to the other times? What's different now? We're not told. But he's working for somebody, and that's fine, I guess. But I just, here's the thing. We don't know what Dr. Psycho's doing. We don't know what Dr. Psycho's motivations are. He's working for somebody. It's not the image maker. So we got this image maker sending duplicates of Wonder Woman against Wonder Woman. And we got Dr. Psycho working for somebody sending the Shining Knight against Wonder Woman. And the duplicates attack both the Shining Knight and Wonder Woman. And the Shining Knight clearly is not working with the duplicates. So the Shining Knight decides to work with Wonder Woman to defeat these duplicates of herself, and then will resume his attack of Wonder Woman after the fact. Wonder Woman says a number of things here that I don't know if there's a very particular voice. At one point, Wonder Woman says to Shining Knight, "Who dares challenge Wonder Woman?" I'm sorry, but Wonder Woman, I don't think she would ever talk that way. It just feels off to me. Now, I guess I can buy it in certain incarnations. If this was Darwin Cook's Wonder Woman, I guess I could. I never really saw, who dares challenge Wonder Woman, referring to yourself in the third person. The Shining Knight tells Wonder Woman that he's the Archmage and he would serve this confounding era, and Dead Man can't seem to take over Shining Knight's body, presumably because of the helmet that the Shining Knight has. Wonder Woman then tells Dead Man, "Don't worry about it. Don't worry about me. A good fight is just what I needed to clear my head." Really? Well, that's good to hear, Wonder Woman, because now you got a fight on your hands, and you can clear your head. Again, it's not something that I would think Wonder Woman would say. But again, it's not wrong. Wonder Woman, of course, is a very good fighter. Seems kind of, just weird. Don't get me wrong. It's almost kind of a nice jarring change. I like this more aggressive Wonder Woman. It's just not the Wonder Woman that I'm used to. So I got mixed feelings about it. But, whatever. I'm going with it. Now, I'm not sure how does Wonder Woman know that the Shining Knight is hired by Cisco? Well, I don't know how she knows. And she's just sort of assuming that, just like she assumed that the image duplicates were from the Shining Knight as well, or I guess Cisco, and that clearly ended up not being the case. And now, at one point, Wonder Woman says to the Shining Knight, "I have never cared for chivalry one way or another, but the mockery you make of it is painful." So Wonder Woman doesn't care for chivalry, but I mean, she's basically telling this Shining Knight that she doesn't care for it. She's not a big fan of it, and never call me milady. So Wonder Woman doesn't even like to be called milady. So again, now Wonder Woman is just being a bitch. Let's just call it what it is. Mina, you don't like being called milady? Look, I know he's trying to kill you, this Shining Knight, but really, you can't call a woman my lady anymore? Chivalry is dead. Wonder Woman doesn't care for chivalry. She doesn't care. She doesn't care one way or the other, except don't call her my lady. So that's just code word for I hate chivalry. And don't be chivalrous to me. No, no, no. Can't have that. But hey, does Wonder Woman care? How does Wonder Woman feel when Steve Trevor? Is it okay for Steve Trevor to be chivalrous? I guess. So I'm just putting that out there. I mean, it just seems to me that this is overplayed, and this is Wonder Woman's hand has been overplayed here in terms of her character. I'm not quite really buying it. And in any event, the series or the issue ends with Hippolyta being confronted, or Hippolyta is trying to look in on her daughter, and this takes place after issue 5 of Nubia, which it hasn't even come out yet, where Queen Hippolyta appears to be the queen of Themyscira again. Or maybe I misunderstood this. It's not really clear. So I'm not sure. Maybe she's not queen there. I'm not really. It's not clear. Again, it's very wonky, the continuity here. But again, even the dialogue is off. This duplicate, like Hippolyta, has a mechanism by which she can contact Wonder Woman, her daughter. So why would that same mechanism contact her duplicates by mistake? That seems really odd. It seems really off. So in any event, the duplicate says, "We will kill all those who stand in our way." And Hippolyta says, "You would kill me." And then she says, "I shall never die." Again, the dialogue here is just kind of over the top and almost kind of silly, but I guess it's okay. I mean, I like the more aggressive Wonder Woman, maybe a little bit, but this is bordering on sort of like almost a little bit of comical dialogue here. Wonder Woman hating chivalry. Don't call me milady. Okay. Steve Trevor, just dump her. Just don't go back with her. I mean, she's not worth it. I mean, at this point, just really, she's not worth the headache. And besides which, she never contacted. She was more concerned about returning a sword to some guy she was banging for 10 issues. She was more concerned about returning a sword to a dead lover than she was about even seeing you, even calling you. It was pathetic. Is this really a woman you want in your life? I mean, I know she's hot, but there's a whole pile of women that are as hot as Wonder Woman. Let's be blunt. We're talking the DC Universe here. Steve Trevor, if you can't find somebody as hot as Wonder Woman in the DC Universe, you ain't looking, my friend. But in any event, the backup feature is actually substantially more significant, because we see what's happening in the Bagdella tribe in Egypt, the Egyptian tribe, which is Artemis's tribe, which is ruled by Queen Faruka II and Queen Atlanta, who are the joint queens of the Bang and McDowell tribe. And essentially, it is basically brought to the attention that, I mean, they're considering what their options are, because their Penelope equivalent, they have an Amazon who's had visions of a lion, a wolf, and some other creature, a serpent, a wolf. The wolf and lion savage each other as the shadow cat watches and waits. So what do all these visions mean? Well, it's not clear, but Queen Faruka clearly is resentful. She hates the Themyscirans. Her tribe of Amazons were sort of left Themyscira. She feels they were like banished, pushed out of Themyscira. Queen Atalanta was the initial queen of the Banu Migdal tribe that they eventually settled in Egypt. And they fear that Themyscira has lost control of Doom's Doorway, and they even suspect that maybe the Themysciran Amazons, maybe Queen Nubia, actually sent the Manticore to attack them, and that the Manticore had attacked the Banu Migdal tribe last issue. So they're very bitter, and Queen Faruka is very bitter. Artemis is willing to give the Themyscirans the benefit of the doubt, but Queen Atalanta suggests that, and they eventually agree on a course of action where they want to propose a contest, and one way to get the Banu Migdal tribe back into paradise, back on Themyscira, because they got the shit end of the stick. You got the Esquisita tribe in the beautiful forests of Brazil, rainforest of Brazil, and then you got the Paradise Island where the Themyscirans are on, and then you got the poor Banu Migdal tribe. Those poor bastards. They're trapped on. They're in Egypt, on the sands of Egypt. It's hot. It's life is hard. They're not immortal. The Banu Migdal tribe are not immortal. They're not gifted with immortality like the Themyscirans are, and so, but the one way that they can get it is that if one of their own, according to Queen Atalanta, that if they win a contest to guard Doom's Doorway, they win back their place on Themyscira, and if they do that, they would win immortality for every Banu Migdal in the sisterhood, and that's significant. And remember that the Banu Migdal tribe is different. That whereas women, the Amazons on Themyscira, where Wonder Woman is from, Diana, the Amazons in Themyscira, they repopulate by Amazons coming through the Well of Souls, victims of men or gods, I predict, through Medusa, coming through the Well of Souls. But the Banu Migdal tribe has to recruit ordinary women that they help over the centuries, and they're just ordinary women who don't have immortality, so they have a harder life. They have to work harder at it. And as for the Esquisita tribe, let's face it, we don't know a lot about the Esquisita tribe, because there's a reason why Wonder Girl is canceled, because that is a really badly written series, and it's a mercy kill. As much as I don't like Wonder Girl being canceled, the fact of the matter is that if you can't do it right, kill it. You can't do it right. I'm glad issue 8, Wonder Girl is canceled as of issue 7. Thankfully, issue 8 is just going to be shoehorned in to Trial of the Amazons, and that's probably for the better. It really is, because it's badly written and it's doing a disservice to Yara Flor. All that potential for the Yara Flor coming out of Future State, and it's such what is probably one of the most convoluted and poorly put together stories. Joelle Jones is not a very good writer. She's a good artist, but she's not a great writer. I hasten to say that when it came to Wonder Girl, I wouldn't even put her in the good category. I would say serviceable at best, and in many ways it was a disservice to Wonder Girl. And I hate to say it, but that's just, I call it like I see them. But I'm still in for Trial of the Amazons, and we'll see where it takes us, because I think that there's something interesting might happen, because we're going to have the 3 tribes of Amazons competing to come up with a champion for Doom's Doorway. But now I want to say something quick about this. This is one aspect that bugs the hell out of me, and I feel compelled to say it here. I mean, in all seriousness, when you think about it, does it not seem odd to you that all 3 tribes of Amazons, because the premise of Trial of the Amazons is that the 3 tribes of Amazons, they're going to have a contest, and the winner of the contest will guard Doom's Doorway. Like, I've said this before. I question Wonder Woman's wisdom with Wonder Woman Evolution under Stephanie Phillips. And I'm now questioning every Amazon's wisdom here. Why do you only need 1 champion to guard Doom's Doorway? I mean, can't you just cooperate and have each tribe appoint 1 person and have 3 people? Wouldn't it make more sense to have 3 people? Or why not have an army guard Doom's Doorway? How hard is this? Because you know what's even more hilarious? It was actually revealed in Nubia that, do you know who's guarding Doom's Doorway now? They don't have a champion right now. Who's guarding Doom's Doorway now? They're guarding it in rotating shifts. Isn't that how you normally guard something, in shifts? Why would you be dumb enough to only have 1 champion? Like, that's just plain stupid. Why not have more than 1? I mean, again, I hope this is explained. But I mean, I guess we'll have to wait and see. But Hey, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But again, that's my criticism there. But let's go on. Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. All right. Now, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, number 7. I enjoyed this. Now, uh, I've been a huge fan of this series. I think Tom King has done a really, really good job. And this is something that, in my view, is this defines Supergirl, and it exemplifies the hope that embodies Kara in a way that very few other Supergirl stories has, going back for at least 10 years in my mind. I think it's that good, and it's told in the true grit sort of story manner. And in this one, Supergirl and young Ruthie finally catch up to Krem of Yellow Hills in order to confront him. Krem of Yellow Hills was the cruel, genocidal bastard that killed Ruthie's father, who Ruthie's father, who was a rock farmer on her native planet. Now, this issue has Supergirl, uh, with Ruthie. They've what happened is that they caught up with Krem of Yellow Hills. They've captured him, and they've got him on this planet tied up. But before they can deal with him, Krem of Yellow Hills, he's with these vagabond, this brigand brigade, that they have a code that if one of their own gets taken, they got to rescue him. And so Wonder Woman, or pardon me, Supergirl is being attacked by this brigand in space, while Ruthie is on the planet, basically making sure that Krem stays tied up. And Ruthie has Comet, the super horse, with her. Uh, Supergirl, Kara, used Comet last issue to help outrun sort of a black hole weapon that Krem tried to use against her. I forget the name of it, but it's not important. The fact of the matter is that this issue deals with it deals with Ruthie struggling with whether or not to kill Krem, because Supergirl essentially leaves Ruthie there and is saying, "Look, Ruthie, I got to go deal with the brigand, but you stay here with Comet." And Supergirl tells Comet, keep an eye on Ruthie, and makes Ruthie promise that she's not going to harm Krem, like don't kill Krem. Now, that's something that throughout this issue has a lot of exposition that seems to bother a lot of people. It doesn't bother me. I like it because I think it's extremely well written. I think it's very revealing, and I just absolutely love it. I love the visuals here. The visuals here are absolutely fantastic. Bill Chris Everly on the art has done just an incredible job, and I think it's Lopez on the cover, on the colors, I believe. Yeah, very well done. Now, uh, the the highlights of this issue are the psychological game that Krem is doing with Ruthie. He's clearly trying to antagonize Ruthie to get Ruthie to do something stupid to get close so he can get her and probably escape or kill her, because uh, Krem is very confident that his brigand will kill Supergirl. He's very confident of that. And in fact, the most of the issue is filled with beautiful Bill Chris Everly visuals of Supergirl battling the brigand and ultimately being defeated by the brigand. And she calls for Comet. And as she calls for Comet, the issue ends with essentially Comet leaving Ruthie alone. And Comet doesn't want to leave Ruthie alone with Krem, because Comet's a pretty smart horse, and Comet is freaking out because Comet can see that Kara is slowly being killed and tortured. Comet can see that happening, but he was told to stay and protect Ruthie. So Comet, the horse is like neighing, and he's struggling with it. And basically Ruthie says, "I promise you, Comet, go help Kara. It's all going to be okay. Don't worry." So Comet then takes off, presumably to help Supergirl, and then Ruthie basically apologizes under her breath to Comet for lying to a horse. And because clearly the suggestion is probably in the final issue, there's one issue left, Ruthie will likely confront, perhaps kill Krem of Yellow Hills, and while Supergirl defeats the brigands with the help of Comet, the super horse. And we'll see how it ends. And because clearly this is a story of a hero's journey, not just a hero's journey of Supergirl Kara coming to terms with the pain and the suffering and never truly confronting the trauma of what she experienced on Krypton and then on Argo City. But it's also the hero's journey for Ruthie herself, following Kara to try to capture Krem of Yellow Hills and confronting her vengeance and her desire for revenge against Krem. How is she going to be able to overcome that, or will she embrace the darker demons of her nature? That's what the next issue will show. But this issue does an excellent job, and this series continues to impress the hell out of me. I'm really enjoying it. Tom King, kudos to you. You've done a really good job, and yeah, I quite like it. Now, there is, can I review one more issue here? I suppose I could review, in fact, maybe I will. I could probably review one more. Yeah, okay. And let's review. I don't know. I'm going to see. No, I'm going to try to jump ahead. I'm going to review Superman Son of Kal-El. And some of these I've already reviewed, but I want to review Superman Son of Kal-El, number 7. And I'm, yeah. Now, Tom Taylor, this is interesting here because we finally get an answer. What makes this issue interesting to me is we finally get an answer to what Tom Taylor scripts for how is John Kent going to deal with the new secret identity. You know? Man, my throat. Try talking for this long. It's ridiculous. Anyway. But Tom Taylor here. This issue involves, I guess John Kent's, boyfriend. Are they boyfriend and girlfriend now? Who's on top? Who's on bottom? I don't know. I don't care. But this has to do with the Rising begins. This big event, this master plan called the Rising, that Lex Luthor is working in conjunction with Henry Bendix with. The Rising begins, and this Gamora Corps is sent to Metropolis to take out this big monster that's attacking Metropolis. But and at some point, John Kent and Jackson Hyde, the Aquaman, together they help to calm this creature, this sea creature, and prevent the sea creature from attacking Metropolis. But before they can completely calm this creature, the Gamora Corps show up, all orchestrated. This was all part of a plan by Henry Bendix and Lex Luthor to basically have the Gamora Corps attack this creature. And in the process of that, one of the creature actually ends up killing a member of the Gamora Corps. And presumably, I think it's probably Henry Bendix's way of trying to cast blame on John Kent, Superman, for the death of this new metahuman, because we know that part of the machinations of Henry Bendix is creating all these metahumans that he's using for his own nefarious purposes. One of them is to contribute to part of this Gamora Corps. Now, so that happens. Now, what happens before then is an interesting conversation between Jay Nakamura, John Kent's boyfriend, and John Kent. Now, Jay has this master plan that he's got. Jay's master plan as for an identity, a secret identity for John Kent, is really stupid. I'll just come out and say it. I think it's stupid. Apparently, John Kent, everybody knows that John Kent is Superman or Superboy. We know that. So now the idea is that when John Kent wants to have a secret identity, he's going to have a secret identity as another masked man. So what John Kent does when he assumes a secret identity, John Kent now, instead of putting on a pair of glasses, he puts on a pair of blue jeans and a red jacket, and he puts on a mask, and he looks exactly like Nightwing. and he's going to just work for the truth. And he's going to, he meets the other members of the truth, and he meets Chaos Kitten and Thylacine, and they welcome him to the revolution. Welcome him to the revolution. And I got to tell you, boy, oh boy, does it feel, it just feels off to me. It feels off. Now, I don't like the words that they use. Welcome to the revolution. I'm not really sure what their cause is. I guess it's climate change. I guess not now. John in his love sickness for the pink-haired Jay Nakamura, promises Jay that don't worry, we're gonna make sure that Henry Bendix is defeated in Gamora, and he's gonna be basically dethroned. Even though he was lawfully elected in an election, they're gonna dethrone the election of John or Harry whatever, John Bendix. But look, we know Bendix is a bad guy, so John is gonna help Jay do that. How do I feel about all this? Look, this isn't a bad story. This isn't a bad story. This isn't as political as some people would think it was going to get. So it's not that political. This is just John Kent. I mean, John Kent wants to help Jay Nakamura. He obviously wants to help the people of Gamora, and it's clear where this is headed. That Henry Bendix is clearly a villain. He's a super villain, along the lines of Lex Luthor, and the machinations that he does. This is going to be a PR campaign against John Kent, and ultimately it's going to be one that Henry Bendix will lose, because the truth will ultimately prevail, and I'm sure Henry Bendix will be revealed to be the supervillain that he is. Freedom will be restored to Gamora, and lawful elections will result, and that will be the end of that. And so, and meanwhile, the main plot will be this metahuman plot, the rising of this Gamora Corps, these metahumans, which somehow they're going to try to create some PR campaign against Superboy, against, I guess, John Kent. Again, John Kent and Jackson Hyde are written very well here. They work well together, and it's clear that I'm not sure what Henry Bendix's game plan is here. I'm not sure why Henry Bendix would deliberately have one of his Gamora Corps members literally. He doesn't even try to save them. He sacrifices them like a pawn on a chessboard, which is an interesting choice of words by myself, because in the Superboy Son of Kal-El annual, John Kent had that chess game with Lex Luthor and defeated Lex Luthor, because Lex Luthor clearly underestimated John Kent. It's not likely that Lex Luthor is underestimating John Kent anymore. So it's interesting here what the end game is here now that this Gamora Corps is part of the equation. Not sure where this is going, but I am interested in it. I'm curious to see where it's going. I'm really not a big fan. I was really, really hoping that I know that Clark Kent, or Kal-El's identity as Clark Kent, is kind of ridiculous. He had glasses, but for some reason it just seems really kind of dumb that John Kent is just creating his own secret identity as another masked person and wearing a mask. I guess that's just as stupid as his dad wearing glasses. I get it. So I guess stupid is as stupid does. But I don't know. It just seems to me to be a little bit silly, quite frankly. But I don't know. I guess it is what it is. I don't know. He doesn't. Superman, John Kent, hasn't chosen a name for his either identity yet. I guess we'll get that next issue. But in any event, this was kind of a meh issue for me, but we'll see where it goes. But so far it's not really where I wanted this to go in terms of the direction, and maybe I'm not sure what I wanted, but this is kind of meh for me. But guys, let me know what you think about this Superman Son of Kal-El #7. Does it hit the mark for you? What do you think of him having a secret identity as just a mascot? Does that make sense to you? Let me know what you think, because I'd really be curious to know your thoughts. And in any event, that's going to end it for me for the part 3 or part 2. This is part 2 of 3, and I'll get part 3 out probably later tonight. All right, guys. So I will catch you later.